I build my dream here piece by piece. My car, my club, my security. Not easy. If you interfere with what I have made, one warning. One. I don't want to see you in here again.
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. I'm here with Jack Howard. The last
Hello.
time Jack was on Uncut, we were talking about Duncan Jones' movie Warcraft, which had just opened, and some very sort of mixed reviews. I liked it, I think, more than you did, but we were both really looking forward to Mute. Well, Mute has opened now on Netflix, and it's had the most polarizing response. It's had some really devastatingly bad reviews from critics. Empire said it was almost tragically not worth the wait. The Guardian called it a Netflix disaster. However, on Twitter and social media, there's been a lot of support for it, not least from William Gibson, legendary sci-fi writer, who wrote, "Mute does something that I've so far assumed only science fiction prose could do. The power in a million tiny, devastatingly coherent details of an entirely suggested world story, a near-future nightmarish in its resemblance to the present." So you have this extraordinarily polarized reaction. You and I both saw the film, and I know that you and I had very different reactions to it. The first time I saw it, it hit me completely the wrong way. I didn't get on board with it. I really didn't expect it to go into some of the areas that it went into. It's a sort of neo-noir science fiction movie with a very, very dark subplot. Second time round, when I kind of knew where it was going, I found it much more rewarding, but I still find it troubling. You?
I'm not a big fan of it at all. I've seen it mostly 1.5 times.
Yeah.
I think that it's a really good idea. I think that it starts out super, super well. I think we should probably say as well that, like, if you haven't seen the film, you probably shouldn't be watching this discussion. We're going to go.
There will be spoilers.
The spoiler bits. But I think it starts out, with a quote that basically says, "We're going to be discussing some deep stuff in this," that I don't think it ever really gets paid off. I think that the opening image of this kid being injured in this way and then choosing not to be fixed because of beliefs, I don't think are ever, like that being your opening image doesn't really ever feel like it's explored to the extent it should be.
So to clarify what you're talking about, firstly, so the central character is Mute after an accident when he's a child, when his throat gets ripped, and he won't get it fixed because his parents are Amish and he's brought up in an Amish family, but he's living in a technological future, so he's a fish out of water. The film then sets him on a course to find his missing girlfriend, which is a kind of classic, neo-noir theme. And somehow the film then starts dealing with some really dark issues like paedophilia.
Yeah, I watched it with my friend Hazel, and she said something I thought was very interesting. She said it felt like almost like it had been reverse engineered, and they'd made the character a paedophile because they needed people to hate him, and people hate paedophiles, so we'll go from there and then work backwards. It's so interesting that in the film, there's a scene where Paul Rudd's character confronts him finally about the subject, and there's a fight, and it's maybe one of the most interesting parts of the film. And then not 30 seconds later, it cuts to them in a car celebrating together like that never happened. And I just thought that was a perfect microcosm for how they were dealing with this subject, that like, see, we've ticked it off, and now we're back to this.
I have to say, the first time round, I kind of agree with what you've just said. The second time round, because as it became more and more evident that what the film is actually about is parents and children, and the neglect of children, it did seem to me that theme, which I still feel very uneasy about, but it seemed to me that it was interwoven much more into the narrative. On the things that we do agree about, I thought it looked great. I thought the evocation of the world was convincing. It's set in Berlin, and it's this kind of
I thought that was a very interesting choice, rather than making it like another American one.
Los Angeles,
yeah, exactly.
San Francisco,
yeah. And I agree. Especially at the beginning, I was very, very involved with that. I thought that the design of everything was cool. I liked the fact that his apartment was so old-fashioned, and then we went through the clock, and then we were like, now we're in this massively futuristic world.
Are there things about it that have stayed with you, or are you done with it now?
The concept stays with me. I really like the idea of a mute detective because honestly, I don't think this film pursued that idea enough. Okay. I think that we talked about, before the camera started rolling, we talked about the idea that we've had 2 films lately with mute characters at the forefront of them. The Shape of Water has just come out, and I think that film, there's a point why she's mute. I think that it's 1963 America, and she's female, and she doesn't have a voice. Whereas I think in this, the mute aspect of him doesn't really come into play in the story at all.
Okay.
And I think that that's a shame.
Let me ask you a final question. I want you to give me an honest answer on
Okay.
this. Okay. One of the things that I am accused of all the time, and perhaps with justification, is that I am more lenient on the films of directors that I, in inverted commas, like. People know that I'm a huge fan of Moon, I'm a huge fan of Source Code, and actually I like Warcraft more than a lot of people did. Do you think that I am trying to find a way of liking Mute, or do you think that I actually think that there's something more interesting? And I want you to be honest, Jack, but I know you will be.
I think that you want to like it, and I think that you can see the strands of what's going on there on a deeper level. I personally think that all that stuff would be so much better if it was as clear as you have seen it. I also think that because you do like and know Duncan Jones a little bit, you inherently, I think, want to like it more than maybe most people would.
Well, here's what I think. I mean, I think that, as I said, I still find the film very troubling. I can't say I like it. I do think there is something in there, and it doesn't work for you. And I do appreciate you being honest, because, you know, it is one of those things that you always worry. Well, am I trying to find something in there that isn't in there? Jeff Andrew once said to me, you know, your problem is that you think that everything is redeemable. And I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's a problem.
No,
either.
I don't. And I also don't think it's true. I think most of Michael Bay's back catalogue is not redeemable, but I think that there is something in there in Mute, and you don't. And I like the fact that we disagree about it.
Yeah, so do I. And I think that it's important as well to say, in this world where we live in, where everyone wants to be like, oh, I hate you for liking this, or I hate you for not liking this. I think that if this is someone's favourite film, fine. It doesn't matter if I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think that's all right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jack, thank you ever so much.
Not a problem
Thank
at all.
you.
Thank you very much.